If your balcony has barely enough room for one chair, a few pots, and a narrow walkway, can it still become a garden that continuously provides fresh produce? Many people believe that to harvest more food, they must first have more land. They look at a large garden with long rows of vegetables stretching across the ground and assume that a small balcony cannot produce a meaningful harvest. But floor space is only one part of a garden. Above every plant is only one part of a garden. Above every plant pot is a large amount of space that often remains unused. A cucumber vine can spread more than a meter across the ground and take up almost the entire walkway. But when the vine is guided up a trellis, that floor space is immediately freed. A tomato plant can grow into a dense bush that fills an entire corner of the balcony. But when it is trained along a single main stem, it can produce multiple levels of fruit from near the surface of the pot to above shoulder height. Even plants that do not climb can be included in a vertical garden. Therefore, doubling your harvest does not necessarily mean forcing one plant to produce twice as much food as it naturally can. It means using the same amount of balcony space to create more productive levels, more planting cycles, and more usable growing space. And the plant in the number one position can transform an entire planting tower into a living wall filled with green leaves, white flowers, and ripe fruit hanging around every level. In today's article, we will count down the 15 plants best suited to a vertical balcony garden. You will learn which plants should be placed on the upper levels, which ones need protection from the afternoon sun, which ones can be harvested repeatedly, and which ones must be trained onto a support while they are still young. More importantly, you will see that a small garden does not necessarily have to produce a small harvest. Sometimes, the only thing that needs to change is not the size of the balcony. It is the direction in which the garden grows. Now, let us begin with number 15. Number 15, chives. Some planting pockets are too small for tomatoes, cucumbers, or kale. Many people leave them empty because they assume that such a small amount of soil cannot produce a meaningful harvest. But a vertical garden only becomes truly efficient when even the smallest spaces are used correctly. Chives are one of the best plants for that purpose. Instead of forming a wide canopy, chive leaves grow straight upward from the base in a narrow clump. The plant does not spread very far to the sides and barely blocks the light from the planting pockets below. That means you can place chives in positions that a larger plant would be unable to use. Chives are suitable for the middle levels, the lower levels, or pockets located between two plants with broad canopies. A pocket approximately 15 to 20 centimeters deep is usually enough for a small clump to grow steadily. Chives can tolerate a short period without water, but if the soil remains hard and dry, the leaves will become thin, grow slowly, and lose their tenderness. When grown from seed, the plants develop relatively slowly during the early stage. Therefore, beginning with a small clump or young transplant will usually provide an earlier harvest. Do not pack too many plants into one small pocket. An overcrowded clump may look green and healthy on the outside, but there will be insufficient airflow inside it. The leaves may weaken and the base may remain wet for too long. Once the plant is established, you do not need to pull up the entire clump to harvest it. Use clean scissors to cut a portion of the leaves, leaving approximately 3 to 5 centimeters above the soil surface. New leaves will continue to emerge from the remaining base. When you only need a small amount for a meal, cut the outer leaves and leave the center intact. When you need more, you can cut back almost the entire clump, but you should give the plant time to recover before harvesting it again. Chives also produce round purple flowers. The flowers are edible and add ornamental value to the balcony. However, if your main goal is to harvest tender leaves, you can remove some of the flower buds so the plant continues directing its energy toward leaf production. After a long period of growth, a clump of chives may become too crowded. When that happens, remove the plant, divide the clump into several smaller sections, and replant them in other pockets. From one original plant, you can create several new clumps without having to start again from seed. Number 14, arugula. With many vegetables, larger leaves mean a better harvest. But with arugula, waiting just a few extra days can sometimes change the quality of the entire planting pocket. When the leaves are young, they are tender, mildly peppery, and suitable for salads, sandwiches, or fresh dishes. But when the weather becomes warmer and the plant is left for too long, the leaves quickly become tougher, the peppery flavor becomes stronger, and a flower stalk begins rising from the center. Therefore, arugula should not be grown with the goal of producing the largest possible leaves. Its real value lies in its speed. Under suitable conditions, you can begin harvesting young leaves after only about 3 to 5 weeks. Arugula has a relatively shallow root system, so it does not need the largest compartments in the structure. A pocket approximately 12 to 15 centimeters deep can be enough for a group of young plants. The middle or lower levels are usually more suitable than the top. In these positions, the soil retains moisture more consistently and is less likely to be dried out by the wind. If the balcony receives intense afternoon sun, place the arugula where it receives only morning sun or light shade from taller plants later in the day. However, light shade does not mean placing the plants in darkness. Arugula still needs light to produce strong, healthy leaves. The goal is to avoid excessive heat that causes the plants to flower prematurely. The seeds should be sown directly in their final position. Cover them with a thin layer of growing mixture, then keep the surface evenly moist until the seedlings appear. There are 2 ways to grow arugula in a vertical system. The first is to sow the seeds relatively densely for harvesting young leaves. When the plants reach approximately 7 to 10 centimeters tall, you can cut the entire group and use it immediately. The second is to thin the seedlings more widely, leave space between the plants, and harvest individual outer leaves over several weeks. The most common mistake is allowing the soil to dry out completely before applying a large amount of water. This sudden change stresses the plants and may cause flower stalks to appear early. Once the flower stalk begins growing, the leaves usually become smaller and develop a stronger flavor. An effective method is to avoid sowing every arugula pocket on the same day. Sow the first pocket, then sow the next one approximately 10 to 14 days later. When the first group begins to age, the second group will be at its best harvesting stage. When the second group matures, a new group will already have begun growing. This means you do not have to try to keep a single arugula plant alive for many months. You only need to harvest quickly, sow consistently, and replace the plants at the right time. When you see the central stem beginning to lengthen, harvest the remaining leaves and use that pocket for a new crop. Number 13, short-rooted carrots. Many people believe that carrots are unsuitable for containers. That belief is correct when you are thinking about long carrot varieties that need a deep layer of soil to develop straight roots. But not every carrot has the same shape. Imagine 2 boxes with the same volume. One is tall and narrow, the other is low but wide. A long object may fit inside the tall box, but it will not be able to lie straight inside the shallow box. Carrots follow a similar principle. Long varieties need deep soil. Short-rooted carrots, round carrots, and varieties developed for containers can form roots in a shallower compartment. That is why they can use levels that many people normally reserve exclusively for leafy vegetable. Short-rooted carrots should be grown in pockets approximately 18 to 25 centimeters deep, depending on the variety. But depth is not the only factor that determines the shape of the roots. The structure of the growing mixture is even more important. Carrots need loose, fine soil without stones, pieces of twigs, or hard clumps. Even one small obstruction can cause the tip of the root to change direction or divide into several branches. The result may be a bent, forked, or misshapen carrot. Therefore, you should not compress the soil too tightly when preparing the planting pocket. You should also avoid using a mixture containing too much organic material that is not fully decomposed. Large pieces of material can obstruct the developing root, while excessive nitrogen can cause the plant to focus on producing leaves instead of developing the root. Carrot seeds should be sown directly. The seedlings do not respond well to being pulled up and moved to another position, because any damage to the root tip can affect the final shape of the carrot. Because the seeds are small, gardeners often accidentally sow them too densely. At first, a cluster of thin green seedlings may look very healthy, but below the soil, the roots are competing for the same limited space. Once the seedlings are large enough to handle, thin them and leave an appropriate distance between the remaining plant. Do not pull forcefully on the seedlings being removed if their roots have already become tangled. Cutting them at soil level with scissors will help you avoid disturbing the plants you want to keep. While the seeds are germinating, the soil surface must remain evenly moist. Carrots may take many days to appear. If the upper layer of soil dries out during this period, germination will be uneven and the planting pocket will develop empty spacing. After the plants have begun growing, Continue maintaining consistent moisture without allowing the pocket to become waterlogged. A sudden change from very dry to very wet conditions can cause the roots to crack. When the shoulders of the carrots begin to rise above the soil surface, you can observe their size without pulling them up for inspection. Harvesting short-rooted carrots always creates an unexpected moment. You see the leaves above the soil every day, but only when you pull the plant up do you discover whether the root below is round, straight, or unusually shaped. Number 12, mint. There are probably few plants that gardeners both love and fear as much as mint. Its refreshing fragrance makes it one of the most commonly grown herbs, but one small mint plant placed directly in the ground can quickly become a major problem. What you can see above the soil is only part of the story. The real activity takes place underground. Mint produces spreading stems that travel sideways. From every section of those stems, a new shoot can appear in another position. Within a short period, one small clump can invade an area originally intended for other plants. This is where a vertical growing system transforms a disadvantage into an advantage. Each planting pocket functions like a separate container. The roots and spreading stems of the mint cannot move freely into the neighboring pocket. You still have a healthy and productive plant, but you do not have to spend months preventing it from taking over the entire garden. Mint is suitable for the middle or lower levels, where the soil is less likely to dry out too quickly during hot weather. The plant prefers a growing mixture that retains a moderate amount of moisture while still draining well. Prolonged dryness causes the leaves to become small and tough. Constantly waterlogged soil, however, can weaken the roots. One interesting feature of mint is that the way you harvest it directly affects the shape of the plant. If you only remove individual leaves, the stems may continue growing longer while leaving the lower sections bare. Instead, cut off the entire growing tip immediately above a leaf node. New shoots will develop from both sides of the cut. One stem becomes two stems. Those two stems continue branching into even more growing tips. By repeating this method, the mint plant will remain low and dense and will produce more harvesting point. Do not allow the plant to flower too early when your main goal is to harvest leaves. When you see buds appearing, cut off those growing tips. This provides a harvest while also encouraging the plant to continue producing young leaves. After some time, the roots may completely fill the planting pocket. You may notice that the plant dries out more quickly, the leaves become smaller, or the new shoots grow in an overcrowded cluster. When that happens, remove the plant, discard the oldest sections, and divide it into several smaller clumps. Replant one section in the original pocket and move the remaining sections into other containers. Mint must also be positioned carefully so it does not shade smaller plants. If your mint variety develops long stems, place it near an outer edge so the shoots can trail downward without covering the vegetables below. One small planting pocket, when managed correctly, can provide mint for many months. Number 11, red radishes. Some planting pockets take several months to produce their first harvest. Red radishes can complete almost their entire growing cycle within only a few weeks. That is the greatest advantage of this plant. You can sow radishes in a pocket that will later be used for basil, peppers, or another warm season crop. By the time the weather is warm enough to move the new plant onto the balcony, the radishes will already have been harvested and the planting pocket will be ready again. This allows the same position to produce several crops during a single season. Round radish varieties need only approximately 12 to 15 centimeters of soil depth. They are suitable for the middle and lower levels where moisture is more consistent. However, do not choose a pocket where water from the upper levels regularly flows downward and collect. Radishes need evenly moist soil, not waterlogged soil. The seeds should be sown directly at a depth of approximately 1 centimeter. The distance between the plants determines whether you harvest round roots or only a cluster of green leaves. When the plants grow too close together, the tops may still look healthy, but there is not enough space below the soil for the roots to expand. Thin the seedlings early while they are still small. Do not wait until the roots have already begun swelling before trying to separate them. The growing mixture must be loose, fine, and free from large obstruction. Too much nitrogen fertilizer can produce vigorous leaves but small roots. This is a common mistake when gardeners try to push the plants with an excessive amount of fertilizer. Radishes grow best in cool weather. If the balcony becomes too hot, use pockets that receive morning sun and avoid intense sunlight later in the day. Keep the soil evenly moist throughout the growing period. If the soil remains dry for too long, the roots may be small, tough, and more strongly flavored. If you apply too much water after a period of dryness, the roots may crack. When the shoulders of the roots begin appearing above the soil surface, you can check their diameter without pulling up the plants. Do not leave the radishes in the soil for too long simply because you want them to become larger. Overmature radishes often become spongy, tough, or hollow inside. An effective method is to sow one small pocket every week or every 2 weeks. When the first pocket is harvested, the next pocket will be beginning to form roots. This gives you a continuous stream of radishes instead of receiving the entire harvest on the same day. Young radish leaves are also edible. The seedlings removed during thinning do not necessarily have to be discarded. They can be used as young greens. Number 10, basil. A basil plant with one thin stem can be transformed into a dense, leafy bush through a single cut made in the correct position. But this is also a plant that is often harvested incorrectly. Many people see the large leaves near the base and remove them first. The stem continues growing upward, the lower section becomes increasingly bare, the plant becomes tall and weak, and flower buds appear earlier. As a result, the gardener has harvested a few large leaves but reduced the number of branches capable of producing future harvest. A better method is to look at the growing tip. Find a healthy pair of leaves, then cut the stem immediately above that pair. 2 new branches will emerge from the remaining leaf joint. When each new branch has produced enough leaves, cut it again above another pair of leaves. 1 stem becomes 2. 2 stems become 4. After several rounds, the basil develops into a low, rounded plant with many harvesting points. This ability to branch makes basil particularly suitable for a vertical growing system. You can control its height instead of allowing the plant to grow upward and block light from the levels below. Compact varieties are suitable for pockets approximately 15 to 20 centimeters wide. Each pocket should contain only 1 mature plant, so the canopy has enough open space. Larger varieties can be placed in a wide compartment at the top or in a separate pot next to the tower. Basil needs plenty of light, warm air, and an organic rich growing mixture that drains well. Do not move the plant outside too early while nighttime temperatures are still cold. Low temperatures can stop its growth, discolor the leaves, and weaken the roots. You should also avoid applying too much nitrogen-rich fertilizer. An over-fertilized plant may produce very large leaves, but its stems may be softer, its flavor may be weaker, and its branches may break more easily in the wind. When the plant has 3 or 4 pairs of true leaves, begin pinching the growing tip. Do not wait until the plant becomes tall and thin before correcting its shape. Branching should begin while the plant is still young. When flower buds appear, remove them early if your goal is to harvest leaves. Once the plant begins flowering, it gradually redirects energy away from producing new leaves. The leaves may become smaller and their flavor may change. When you need to harvest a large amount, do not cut the plant down to soil level. Cut each stem above a pair of leaves and leave enough green growth for the plant to continue photosynthesizing. Water around the base instead of regularly wetting the entire canopy. On a balcony with limited air circulation, leaves that remain wet for a long time can create favorable conditions for disease. The most important point about basil is simple. Do not just pick individual leaves. Cut above a pair of leaves. A correctly placed cut does not make the plant smaller. It transforms one stem into multiple branches and turns one harvest into the beginning of the next harvest. Number 9, leaf lettuce. When you grow head-forming lettuce, you must dedicate an entire planting pocket to one plant and wait for it to form a complete head. After harvest, the entire plant is usually removed. But with leaf lettuce, you do not have to wait that long. You can cut young leaves, harvest individual outer leaves, or remove almost the entire cluster and wait for a smaller flush to regrow. This flexibility allows leaf lettuce to use the pockets of a vertical growing system more efficiently. The plant has a relatively shallow root system. A pocket approximately 12 to 15 centimeters deep is usually enough for a group of young plants or several mature plants. The middle and lower levels are the best positions. The soil there is generally cooler, retains moisture more consistently, and is less directly affected by wind. A side that receives morning sun but some light afternoon shade will help the leaves remain tender for longer. Lettuce seeds are very small, They need to be covered with only a thin layer of growing mixture. If they are buried too deeply, the seedlings may struggle to reach the surface. There are 3 ways to use a lettuce pocket. The first method is to sow the seeds densely for harvesting young leaves. When the plants reach a suitable height, cut the entire group and use it in salads. The second method is to thin the seedlings, keep 2 or 3 strong plants, and harvest individual outer leaves over several weeks. The third method is to cut the entire cluster several centimeters above the soil, leaving the base so the plants can produce a smaller second flush of leaves. Whichever method you choose, always protect the central growing point if you want the plant to continue developing. Lettuce needs consistent moisture. If the soil repeatedly dries out and is then flooded with water, the edges of the leaves may become damaged and the plant may enter the flowering stage more quickly. High temperatures are also a problem. When the central stem begins to lengthen, the plant is preparing to flower. The leaves gradually become more bitter and the spaces between them become larger. Do not try to keep an old plant in the pocket simply because it is still green. Harvest the remaining leaves and replace it with a new crop. Succession sowing is the key to maintaining a steady lettuce harvest. Instead of sowing 6 pockets on the same day, sow 2 pockets first, another 2 approximately 2 weeks later, and the final 2 after another 2 weeks. When the first group begins to age, the next group will be at its best stage. Lettuce should also not be placed directly beneath the plant with an extremely broad canopy. One large zucchini or kale leaf can completely cover the pocket within only a few days. However, a small amount of light shade can be beneficial during hot weather. The important thing is controlled shade, not complete darkness. Number 8, dwarf kale. Kale does not have to be completely pulled up to produce a harvest. As long as the center is protected, one plant can continuously replace the leaves that have been removed. The oldest leaves are located around the outside. New leaves emerge from the growing point in the center. When you remove only 2 or 3 outer leaves at a time, the plant still retains enough leaf area to continue producing energy. This is why dwarf kale is more suitable for vertical gardens than varieties that grow into extremely large plants. The plant still needs a relatively wide and deep pocket, approximately 20 to 25 centimeters, but its canopy can be controlled through regular harvesting. The best position is usually on an upper level or in a large compartment at the top. There, the leaves can spread without completely covering the lettuce, arugula, or carrots below. Each pocket should contain only 1 mature plant. When several plants share one small space, they compete for light, water, and nutrients. The usual result is several thin stems instead of one strong plant. The growing mixture needs to be loose enough to drain but firm enough to keep the plant upright. When planting a young transplant, you can mound the growing mixture slightly higher around the lower part of the stem. This helps stabilize the plant when its canopy begins becoming heavier. Kale prefers moderately fertile soil and consistent moisture. When the plant lacks water, its new leaves become smaller and tougher. If it receives too much nitrogen, it may produce soft leaves that are more vulnerable to pests. When harvesting, cut the leaf stalk close to the main stem without damaging the center. This is the most important rule. If the central growing point is cut or broken, the plant may stop producing new leaves even when its root system remains healthy. Do not strip away too many leaves at the same time. A plant left with an almost bare stem will take much longer to recover and will be more vulnerable to stress during hot weather. Kale grown high on a tower also has another advantage. Inspecting it for pests becomes easier. Examine the undersides of the leaves regularly. Caterpillars and eggs often hide in places that cannot be seen from above. Removing them early is much easier than waiting until the entire leaf is filled with holes. Small and medium-sized leaves are usually more tender, easier to prepare, and less likely to shade other plants. Therefore, do not wait for every leaf to reach its maximum size. A dwarf kale plant that is kept low and harvested regularly can continue providing greens for many months. Number 7, compact pepper varieties. A plant with a relatively small canopy can still carry dozens of fruits. That is what makes compact pepper varieties a high-yield choice for limited balcony space. But the word compact only describes the canopy above the soil. Peppers still require more soil than leafy vegetables or herbs. Therefore, a plant should not be forced into a small pocket simply because its stem remains short. Give peppers a large compartment at the top, a separate pot positioned next to the tower, or a place at the base of a vertical growing frame. Each pot should contain only one mature plant. Peppers need warm weather, good light, and an organic, rich growing mixture that drains quickly. The seeds often germinate slowly, and the seedlings need to be started early in a warm location. When the plants first emerge, insufficient light causes their stems to become long, thin, and unable to support the weight of the future fruit canopy. Only move the plants onto the balcony after the weather has stabilized and nighttime temperatures are no longer too cold. Peppers also need to be gradually acclimated to sunlight and wind. A plant moved suddenly from indoors into strong sunlight can develop scorched leaves. Although the plant may be short, several fruits developing on one side can cause the stem to lean. Install a stake or support ring early. Do not wait until the branches have already bent before trying to pull them back into position. The growing mixture must be firm enough to support the roots, but should not be compressed so tightly that water cannot drain. While the plant is young, nutrients help it produce stems and leaves. When flower buds begin appearing, avoid using fertilizer with an excessively high nitrogen content. More leaves do not always mean more fruit. Too much nitrogen can produce a dense green plant with very few flowers. Consistent watering is also extremely important. Pots placed on an upper level receive more sunlight and wind, so they dry out faster than the pockets below. Do not allow the plant to wilt severely before flooding it with water. Sudden changes can cause flowers to fall and may affect fruit quality. Peppers can be harvested while they are still green or allowed to ripen completely. Harvesting early reduces the weight on the branches and may encourage the plant to continue producing fruit. Allowing the fruit to ripen fully usually produces a deeper color and stronger flavor. Use scissors to cut the stems. Pulling or twisting the fruit can break an entire branch, particularly when the branch is already carrying several peppers. Small fruited varieties such as mini peppers, small bell peppers, and certain compact hot pepper varieties often create an attractive display in a vertical garden. Green, yellow, orange, or red fruits appearing among the leaves give the plant both food value and ornamental value. Number 6, dwarf edible potted peas. The amount of soil inside a container is always limited, but the space above that container remains almost completely available. Edible potted peas use that space. The roots remain inside the planting compartment while the stems grow upward along a trellis. Flowers and pods form at different heights instead of spreading across the ground. Dwarf varieties or varieties developed for balconies are more suitable than extremely long vines. An overly vigorous variety may grow beyond the support, become tangled with nearby plants, and block light from the entire system. Peas should be placed in a large compartment at the top or in a separate pot at the base of the trellis. The seeds can be sown directly around the base of the mesh or the vertical string. The plants do not like having their roots disturbed, so sowing them in their final position is usually better than transplanting older seedlings. Install the trellis from the beginning. Do not wait for the stems to collapse before building a support system. Young tendrils need something narrow enough to grasp. Fine mesh or stretched strings are usually easier for them to use than thick stakes. During the early stage, gently guide the stems toward the trellis. Once the tendrils have attached themselves, the plants will continue climbing on their own. Peas prefer cool weather. They are suitable for early spring or periods when temperatures begin to fall. As the weather becomes warmer, place the plants where they receive morning sun and light shade later in the day. The growing mixture needs to be loose, well draining, and consistently moist. Do not apply too much nitrogen. Like many legumes, peas can produce a large amount of foliage when the soil contains excessive nitrogen while producing fewer flowers and pods. When flowers appear, monitor the moisture carefully. Dry soil during this stage can cause flowers to fall or pods to develop slowly. Harvesting also directly affects production. Edible potted peas taste best while the pods are still crisp and the seeds inside have not become too large. If many mature pods are left on the vines, the plants begin directing energy toward ripening the seeds and may reduce the production of new flowers. Therefore, inspect the trellis regularly and harvest the pods continuously. Use one hand to hold the vine and the other hand to cut or gently remove the pod so you do not pull and break the stem. After the peas finish their season, the same trellis can be used for a warm season plant such as cucumber or Malabar spinach. This is how one vertical frame can serve several different plants during the same year. Number 5, climbing Malabar spinach. When the weather becomes too hot for true spinach and many other cool season leafy vegetables, another green vegetable begins growing vigorously. That plant is climbing Malabar spinach. Malabar spinach is not a true spinach. but its tender leaves can be used in many similar dishes. The important difference is that the plant loves warm temperatures. In hot conditions, when lettuce begins flowering and arugula becomes more peppery, Malabar spinach can continue extending its vines, producing leaves and covering the trellis. It is one of the plants on this list that makes the clearest use of vertical height. The roots remain inside the container, but the stems can climb strings, mesh, or a frame positioned against a wall. Instead of allowing a leafy plant to spread widely across the floor, you can transform it into a green curtain. Malabar spinach needs a large compartment at the top or a separate pot at the base of a trellis. It is not suitable for a very small pocket because when mature, its root system needs enough space to support multiple vines and leaves. The seeds have a relatively hard outer coating and can sometimes germinate slowly. Soaking the seeds in water before sowing can help moisture penetrate them more quickly. Sow the seeds after the weather has become warm. If the soil remains cold, the seeds may stay inactive for a long period and may begin to rot. As soon as the plant begins extending its vines, guide it toward the trellis. Malabar spinach can twine and climb by itself, but training the stems during the early stage helps distribute the canopy evenly instead of allowing it to form one dense mass. Do not allow every vine to climb the same string. Spread the vines in different directions so light can reach the interior of the canopy and the leaves can dry more easily after watering. The plant prefers organic, rich soil and consistent moisture. A lack of water causes the leaves to become small, thick, and slow growing. But a container that remains flooded for too long will also deprive the roots of air. A thin layer of mulch over the soil surface helps reduce evaporation during hot weather. The way you harvest determines whether the plant becomes long and sparse or short and dense. If you only harvest individual leaves, one vine may continue growing upward with very few side branches. Instead, cut the tender growing tip immediately above a leaf node. New shoots will emerge from the leaf joints below. Every correctly placed tip harvest provides a portion of vegetables while also creating more branches for future harvest. When the vines become too dense, remove weak sections, old leaves, or stems growing toward the interior. This allows light and air to move through the canopy, which is particularly important on an enclosed balcony. Malabar spinach can also produce dark purple berries. If the plant is allowed to produce too many berries, the amount of energy available for leaf production may decrease. Therefore, harvest the tips regularly if your main goal is to produce leafy vegetable. Number 4, compact trellis cucumbers. Cucumbers are often considered space-consuming plants because their vines can travel a long distance. But the problem is not the length of the vine. The problem is the direction in which the vine is growing. When it spreads horizontally, the plant occupies the walkway, touches neighboring pots, and creates a tangled layer of leaves across the floor. When it is trained up a trellis, the same vine transforms the space above it into an area for producing leaves, flowers, and fruit. That is why cucumbers are in the number 4 position. Choose a compact variety, a mini fruited variety, or one recommended for a container. Smaller fruits are lighter, easier for the trellis to support, and can be harvested regularly. Cucumbers need a large compartment at the top or a deep pot placed at the base of the tower. Each pot should contain only one mature plant. This is not a plant that is suitable for a small planting pocket. Growing vertically does not mean reducing the amount of soil until the roots cannot develop. It means providing enough soil below while using vertical space for the stems above. Install the trellis while the plant is still young. A frame approximately 90 to 150 centimeters tall is suitable for many compact varieties. Fine mesh allows the tendrils to attach more easily than smooth stakes. During the early stage, gently direct the stem toward the mesh. Once the tendrils are securely attached, the plant will continue climbing without requiring many tops. The growing mixture must be rich in organic matter, drain well, and retain consistent moisture. Cucumbers produce large leaves and grow quickly, so they use a significant amount of water. A container positioned high above the ground or in a windy location can dry out very quickly. A period of severe water shortage can slow the plant, deform the fruit, or reduce its flavor quality. However, you should not water on a fixed schedule without first checking the soil. Touch the upper layer of soil and observe the weight of the pot. Water deeply when necessary, then allow the excess water to drain away. When flowers appear, you can identify the female flowers by the tiny cucumber located behind them. On a high balcony or in an area with few insects, Some flowers may not receive adequate pollination. If the variety requires pollination and the young fruits regularly turn yellow in fall, you can use a soft brush to transfer pollen from a male flower to a female flower. Once the fruit begins developing, inspect the plant every day or every 2 days. Small cucumbers can grow extremely quickly. Do not allow the first fruits to become over-mature. One oversized cucumber left on the vine continues consuming energy and may reduce the development of new fruit. Harvest the cucumbers when they reach the appropriate size for the variety. Use scissors to cut the stem instead of pulling forcefully on the vine. Remove old leaves, yellow leaves, or leaves growing too densely inside the canopy. This improves air circulation and helps you see the fruit more easily. However, do not remove too many healthy leaves because the plant needs them to produce energy. Number 3, indeterminate cherry tomatoes. A cherry tomato plant can produce a large amount of fruit, but if every side shoot is allowed to develop freely, the plant can also quickly take over an entire corner of the balcony. The canopy becomes dense. The branches become tangled. Light struggles to reach the interior, and the gardener must dedicate a large amount of space to keeping one plant from collapsing. But the problem is not that the tomato plant is too large. The problem is that it is growing in too many directions. With a suitable indeterminate cherry tomato variety, you can train the plant along one main stem attached to a string, stake, or vertical frame. The main stem continues growing upward while clusters of flowers form at different heights. Instead of creating a wide bush, the plant becomes a column of fruit. Cherry tomatoes need a large pot at the base of the trellis or the widest compartment in the system. Like cucumbers and peppers, the plant should not be forced into a small pocket. The stems can be kept compact by training them vertically, but the roots still require enough soil, water, and nutrient. Install the stake or support string before the plant becomes tall. Tie the stem with a soft material, leaving a small amount of space for the stem to continue thickening. Do not tie it too tightly and do not use thin string that may cut into the stem. As the plant grows, side shoots appear at the junction between the leaves and the main stem. With a single stem training method, these shoots are normally removed while they are still small. But before pruning, make sure the variety you are growing is suitable for this method. Determinate bush tomato varieties have a different growth pattern and should not be pruned in the same way as indeterminate tomato. Tomatoes need plenty of direct light. Place the plant in a high, open position that is protected from excessively strong wind. A light breeze helps strengthen the stem and supports pollination, but strong wind can shake the trellis, break branches, or overturn the pot. The growing mixture must be organic rich and well draining. Water consistently around the root zone. Avoid allowing the plant to wilt severely before applying a large amount of water. Changes in moisture can cause the fruit to crack and stress the plant. When the plant is flowering, gently shaking the support string or flower cluster during dry conditions can help move the pollen on balconies with little wind. As the fruit begins developing, the plant needs balanced nutrition. Do not continue applying too much nitrogen-rich fertilizer. A plant with an enormous leaf canopy but very few flowers is not a productive plant. Remove old leaves near the soil and any diseased leaves to improve airflow. However, do not strip the entire canopy. The fruits need protection from intense sunlight, and the plant needs enough leaf area to produce sugars. Harvest the fruits after they have reached the mature color of the variety. Cherry tomatoes often grow in clusters, but not every fruit in a cluster ripens on the same day. You can harvest the ripe fruits individually and leave the green ones on the plant. Number 2, vertically trained zucchini. A mature zucchini plant can occupy almost an entire corner of a balcony. Its long leaf stalks extend in every direction. Its large leaves cover smaller containers. The fruits remain low or difficult to see and are sometimes only discovered after they have become oversized. That is why many people never consider growing zucchini in a narrow space. But when the main stem is raised upward, the plant can use space in a completely different way. Zucchini does not climb like cucumber. It does not have tendrils that allow it to attach itself to a trellis. Therefore, growing vertically does not mean that the plant climbs on its own. It means choosing a relatively compact bush variety, placing a very strong stake beside the stem, and gradually supporting the plant as it grows. This technique must be started early. If you wait until the plant is lying horizontally with heavy leaf stalks and a rigid stem, Attempting to pull it upright can split the stem or disturb the roots. Zucchini needs a large container and is not suitable for the small pockets of a planting tower. Place the plant at the base of the system, beside the balcony railing, or behind lower growing plant. The container occupies a certain amount of floor space, but when the canopy is held more upright, the space surrounding it can be used for small vegetable pockets or as a walkway. Insert a deep, secure stake while the plant is still young. As the stem lengthens, use soft ties to attach it loosely to the stake at several points. Do not tie the leaf stalks because they can break. Make only a small adjustment at a time. Do not force the stem to change direction too dramatically in one day. Zucchini needs plenty of light, organic rich soil, and consistent moisture. Its large canopy causes the plant to lose water quickly, particularly during hot weather. Water deeply around the base and avoid regularly wetting the entire leaf canopy. On a balcony with limited airflow, leaf surfaces that remain wet for a long time may increase the risk of disease. As the plant develops, the oldest lower leaves can gradually be removed. Only cut leaves that have turned yellow, become damaged, are touching the soil, or are completely blocking an area that needs better airflow. Do not remove too many healthy leaves at the same time. Each cut leaf stalk should be removed cleanly. Do not leave a long, hollow section that can hold water near the main stem. Zucchini produces separate male and female flowers. The female flower has a small fruit immediately behind it. The male flower grows on a narrow stalk. On balconies with few insects, young fruits may begin developing before turning yellow and rotting because of incomplete pollination. When that happens, you can use a male flower or a soft brush to transfer pollen to the center of the female flower. One of the greatest mistakes is allowing the fruit to become too large. Young zucchini is tender, has a good flavor, and allows the plant to quickly produce additional flower. An overmature fruit continues drawing energy from the plant and may reduce the rate at which new fruits are produced. Inspect the area beneath the canopy regularly. A zucchini may be hidden behind one leaf and increase in size extremely quickly. Use a clean knife or scissors to cut the fruit, leaving a short section of stem attached. Number 1, ever-bearing strawberries. Imagine a planting tower covered with green leaves, white flowers, green immature fruit, and ripe red strawberries hanging around every level. That is not merely a productive garden. It resembles a harvestable, living wall. Strawberries are suitable for almost every part of a vertical growing system. Their roots are relatively shallow, their leaf canopy is compact, their flower stalks grow outward. As the fruit develops, it naturally hangs over the edge of the pocket instead of resting directly on damp soil. This keeps the fruit cleaner, makes it easier to observe, and provides better air circulation. Each pocket should contain only one plant. When several plants are crowded into one small space, their leaves overlap, their roots compete, and the fruit dries more slowly after rain or watering. A pocket approximately 15 to 20 centimeters deep is usually sufficient when the growing mixture is loose, rich in organic matter, and maintained at a consistent moisture level. The fastest method is to begin with a healthy transplant or a bare root plant. The most important detail when planting strawberries is the position of the crown where the leaves meet the roots. This section must remain level with the soil surface. If it is buried too deeply, the crown may rot. If it is positioned too high, the upper roots may dry out. This difference may be only a few centimeters, but it can determine whether the plant grows successfully or becomes weak. Ever-bearing strawberries do not produce their entire harvest within one short period. Instead, the plants can flower and produce fruit in several waves throughout the growing season. When many pockets are planted at the same time, the entire tower can provide small but continuous amounts of fruit. The upper levels receive more light and dry out more quickly. The lower levels retain moisture for longer but may receive less sunlight. Therefore, observe each part of the system instead of watering every pocket in exactly the same way. An upper pocket may need water sooner than a lower pocket. At the same time, avoid allowing water from the upper levels to flow continuously downward and leave the lower pockets waterlogged. Strawberries need good light to flower and ripen their fruit, but small containers can also become hot. During severe weather, protect the root zone from excessive temperatures and maintain consistent moisture. When the plants are newly planted, if they are still weak but have already produced flowers, removing several of the first blossoms can help them focus on developing their root system. Once the plants are established, allow the later flowers to develop into fruit. Strawberries also produce runners. A new young plant can form at the end of each runner. If your main goal is fruit production, remove most of the runners because they draw energy away from the mother plant. If you want to propagate the plants, position the young plant at the end of a runner inside an empty pocket. Keep it in contact with the soil until it develops roots and only then separate it from the mother plant. In this way, one original plant can gradually expand into an entire strawberry tower. Inspect the flowers and fruit regularly. On a balcony, birds sometimes discover ripe fruit before the gardener does. A lightweight protective net may be necessary, but it must be positioned so it does not press against the plant canopy. Remove old leaves, diseased leaves, and damaged fruit so air can move through the pockets. However, do not remove too many healthy leaves. The plant needs its leaves to support the fruit. Harvest strawberries when the entire surface has developed the characteristic ripe color. Strawberries do not become significantly sweeter after being harvested too early. Handle each fruit gently and cut or pinch the stem above it to avoid damaging the plant. Strawberries occupy the #1 position not only because the plants fit inside small pockets. They rank first because the entire natural shape of the plant is perfectly suited to a multi-level garden. The roots remain neatly contained inside. The leaves spread around every level. The flowers face toward the light, and the ripe fruit hangs down directly within view. From a very small amount of floor space, you can create an entire multi-level strawberry garden in which every pocket contains one plant and every level becomes a separate harvesting area. No other plant on this list demonstrates the benefits of vertical growing more clearly than strawberries. They do not merely survive inside the system, they use almost the entire system. After reviewing these 15 plants, you can see that the productivity of a balcony is not determined entirely by the number of square meters available on the floor. What matters more is how each area of space is used. When plants are selected correctly, placed in the right positions, and trained to grow upward, every pot, every planting level, and every open space above them can become a separate production area. You do not need to enlarge your balcony. You only need to use the space you already have more intelligently. Begin with one or two of the most suitable plants, observe how light and moisture change between the different levels, and then gradually build your own vertical garden. If you found this video helpful, please press the like button and follow the channel so you do not miss our next practical gardening ideas. And what topic would you like us to cover in a future video? Leave the name of the topic or plant you are interested in the comments. Your suggestion may become the subject of our next video. Thank you for watching. May your balcony garden always remain green, organized, and capable of producing harvests far beyond your expectations.